Christian dating is tough. And if you've ever left a date feeling it was more friendly than romantic, or perhaps you got home and received a message saying, "You're a nice guy, but I just want to stay friends," then it means you didn't build enough romantic intimacy on that date. So today, I want to tackle that trickiest of Christian dating questions. How can you build romantic intimacy in an aligned Christian way? My name's Jack Peach, I'm the head coach at Dynastic Dating, and I welcome you to this video. Now, before we want to tackle this trickiest of Christian dating questions, I want to describe to you what attraction is, because it's integral for knowing how to build intimacy. Now, attraction is a matrix. There are many different characteristics and traits which all interplay to describe and define what makes us attractive and what makes a woman attractive. But within this matrix, there are two separate types of attraction. There's what I call sexiness and security. Now, I'm sure some of you, when I'm saying sexiness, are perhaps recoiling. How should I, as a Christian man, bring sexual chemistry or sexiness to the dating process? Well, what you need to remember is if you want to be attractive, you must bring both of these two areas. And sexiness does not mean rushing into casual sex, does not mean being handsy, and it doesn't mean making women feel uncomfortable. What you must understand is that God wants us to get married in the future. And as part of that marriage, we must have sexual intimacy. And if we're not bringing that sexual chemistry and that sexual imagery from the beginning, women will not see you as a potential husband. Now, we don't want to fall into the red pill trap of believing only sexiness is important. That is not the case. I'll keep hammering this home. You need both sexiness and security to be a Christian dating in an aligned Christian manner. Now, we can visualize these two traits as alpha and beta traits. Now, I don't like this dichotomy as it's a false dichotomy, but most people understand what I mean when I say it, so I use it for ease of understanding. Sexy traits are alpha traits. Security traits are beta traits. But by bringing both, you are going to build intimacy. And in my experience, most Christian men struggle with bringing the sexiness equation. So we're going to talk about that right now so that you can learn how to build intimacy as a Christian during the dating process. Now, the first way to build intimacy when on dates as a Christian is through physical touch. Now, physical touch is often misconstrued in Christian dating circles. It's sometimes perceived as inherently sexual or inherently lustful. That is not the case. Physical touch is just another form of communication. And like any form of communication, it can be done well or it can be done badly. And if you do it badly, yes, it's going to come across as lustful and it's going to make women feel uncomfortable. But if you feel that physical touch in and of itself is sinful, well, that probably means you've got a little bit of sexual repression going on that you also need to resolve. Because if you do it in the right way, it's going to be building intimacy. And I'm going to describe exactly how you can do that in just one moment. Now, again, you must do this in an aligned Christian manner, one which respects her boundaries as an individual. You've got to start small, see how she responds, and then move from there. Now, the reason physical touch is so important during the Christian dating process is it allows her to see you as someone who is a potential husband, okay? Physical closeness denotes emotional closeness. So when you're never using physical touch, you're basically saying, I don't see you as someone I'm emotionally close to. So that's going to destroy intimacy rather than building it. But you need to start in a respectful way, which can be something as simple as getting your phone out, showing her a video or perhaps a picture you took last week, but instead of kind of showing it across the table or giving it from a distance, you can stand up, sit down next to her and put your arm against hers. And then you judge how she responds. Does she lean into you? Does she recoil? Based on that, that will tell you whether you should continue or whether you should take a step back and allow her to feel more comfortable with you, build intimacy in another way before you reintroduce physical touch. Remember, if you use physical touch or not, both are communicating something. and that can be something good or bad. Now, one of my clients actually used this exact strategy I just shared with you to build intimacy on one of his dates. He told me that he felt his date was at a crossroads. He felt like they were beginning to drift apart, which is when he decided to build on the intimacy he'd already built via other forms of communication, and he showed her a picture, lent into her, and she lent into him. A year later, they're engaged and they're going to be planning their wedding this summer. I mean, they are planning their wedding this summer. They're going to be getting married quite soon, actually. And that all happened because he used physical touch. If he didn't do it, who knows where they would be. Now, have you ever been on a date where it's felt like this? Oh, so where are you from? Oh, and how long have you lived here? Oh, what job do you do? Oh, do you work 9 to 5? Oh, how many days a week do you work? Can you see how this is not a great vibe for building intimacy on dates? Well, that's because you're asking very surface level questions in basically trying to extend the conversation by asking questions, rather than actually taking a deep interest in who she is by asking deep and meaningful questions which allow her to open up and build intimacy during the Christian dating process. For example, you could do something like this. Oh, where are you from? So what made you decide to move here? You can see how I used the exact same beginning question because it's an easy, simple question that most people are going to be comfortable answering, but then I used it as a jumping off post to go deeper, to find out more about her. When you get her to open up about herself, you're building security by making her feel like you care about her. And that is another really important way that you can build intimacy as a Christian. Now, I want to share a final way that you can build intimacy during the Christian dating process. Because when we're asking deeper questions, what are we really doing? We're taking a genuine and sincere interest in her as an individual. And that is so key. Treating her as a woman, treating her as someone that you want to get to know better, find out more about, so that you can really feel like you know her and she feels like she's special to you. That is the heart of intimacy. Building this through building that feeling of sexiness where she feels sexy around you, and security in that she feels secure in your presence is really key to building interest and finding a relationship which leads to marriage. If you're not doing this, you're never going to get out of the dating stage. So it's so important to do. Remember, respect her and care about her for who she is, not what you want from her. And this was actually a mistake one of my current clients made. He was on a date with a woman and he's a very successful man. Like, he's very wealthy, he does a lot of flying for his job. And she told him on this date that she was an air stewardess. And he felt like, I've flown so much, I know what they do, I know what their job is. And he checked out of the conversation. But this disconnected them and pulled the intimacy apart and put distance between them. Why? Because even though he does know what an air stewardess does, he doesn't know how it relates to her and her life. What stories has she got to tell? How does it impact her? How do her routines be built around her job? And how does she see it interacting with her future? These are all different avenues he could have explored to build that intimacy as a Christian man in the dating process. And next time, he's going to be much better equipped to do that. In conclusion, Christian dating is challenging. There's two schools of thought out there at the moment for Christian dating. There's the red pill BS, which is not in alignment with true Christian beliefs. But there's also the conventional Christian dating advice, which is, to be quite honest, written by women for women or from a nice guy perspective and doesn't actually work. What you need is an aligned, more realistic Christian dating advice, which is hopefully what I'm providing here. So if you want to build more intimacy on dates, you need to use physical touch to build that feeling of sexiness. You need to ask deeper questions to build that feeling of security, and you need to make women feel special to you. And if you can do this, your path to finding a new woman will be much easier. And if you want more advice for this, I'm going to drop a free guide in the description box below, which can help you find your future wife. But what do you think? What is a way that you've used to build intimacy? How can you build intimacy? Am I even right in what I'm saying? Please let me know in the comments below. I read every single one and I would love to hear from you. But until next time, God bless. Jack out.